about ready to get the meeting started. We're going to do the pledge first, then we'll invite the fire chief up to go over the mask mandate. So everyone please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Just to go over the mask mandate, everybody's wearing masks. You may see some of the select board actually remove their masks to speak to you where they're socially distanced if they need to so that you can hear them. The seats are all located at least 6 feet apart for social distancing along with your masks that you're wearing. And in the hallway by the front, by the doors that came in here, there is a couple boxes of masks if you need one. There's also a hand sanitizer out there. If you come up to speak at the mic, you will notice that there is a box of wipes that are there. If you grab the mic or use the mic in any way, if you can wipe it down after using it, or if you feel more comfortable wiping it down yourself when you arrive, that's what they're there for, in a way to prevent any spread of any germs that could possibly be there. So with that, I will give it back to you guys, and you can answer any questions if anybody has them, but I'll let you go with that. Thank you.
This one has no budget impact, but I'll go ahead and start with it. This is Article 5, RSA 79E, Community Revitalization and Tax Relief. Shall the town vote to accept the provisions of RSA 79E, giving the Board of Selectmen authority to grant community revitalization tax relief based on the specified areas spelled out in RSA 79E4, with such authority to remain in effect until rescinded. Recommended by Selectmen 3-0, recommended by Budget Committee 5-0. This is an economic development tool that will help redevelop certain parcels, and it creates a process for the board to review. Operating budget. Shall the town of Littleton raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session, for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $10,622,598. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $10,293,591, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Littleton or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4012, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Estimated tax impact, $3.05, or 3.049. Recommended by Selectmen 3-0, recommended by Budget Committee 5-0. And now I'm just going to go over some of the basics in the budget that have changed from last year. And I'm just going to highlight sections that have significant or notable increases or decreases. I'll read each section though. Executive offices is at $290,006, which is a 0.64% increase. Elections, registrations, and vitals is at $189,715, which is a 2.68% increase. Tax collecting is at $74,415. That's a 1.32% increase. Financial administration is at $173,584. That's a 16.38%. And that's due to moving the finance director position from part-time to full-time, as well as GASB requirements and a few other smaller items. Assessing is at $97,600. Assessing's at $115,191. That's a 2.41% decrease. The legal is at $97,600, and I'm reading the default, I apologize. And that is this year up to, I'm sorry, I need something here to line up my numbers. Legal is at $115,100. That's a 17.93% increase. That increase is really due to previous years. We reduced the legal budget, and this year we had to bring it back up to where it traditionally has been, just the level of legal activity. Personnel administration, we're at $165,397. That's a 3.86% increase. Planning and zoning, we have $108,868, and that's a 0.73% increase. General government and buildings is at $91,032. That's a 3.28% increase, and that is reflected in data processing and higher level cleaning required. Cemeteries is at $86,700, which is a 1.76% increase. Town insurances experienced a drop. It's at $92,570, which is an 8.49% drop. And really, our claims history on property liability has been very strong, so our rates have gone down. Advertising associations is at $37,602, and that's a 6.91% increase. I think a lot of that has to do with the amount of advertisements and other things that we're required to put in the paper. Other government buildings, this is it's gone up about $5,000 to $40,001, and that is a 14.29% increase. The police department is at $2,092,410. That's a 2.84% increase. The dispatch is actually down. 2021 is $192,073. It's a $17,000 decrease, which is 8.37%. Grafton County has changed the formula that they use to calculate dispatch expenses. It was in Wilson's paper. Fire department. Fire department is at $1,208,219. That's a 2.18% increase. Public Works Administration is at $107,205. That's a 3.63% increase. The Public Works Department is at $1,209,769, and that is less than 1%. That's a 0.78%. Bridges and sidewalks is remaining the same. Street and hydrants is also remaining the same at $68,140. Animal control is also remaining the same at $2,150. Welfare has had a pretty significant increase for this budget. It's gone up to $110,648, which is a 33% increase. This is mostly caused by COVID-related short-term housing, meaning homelessness costs. Patriotic purposes, $2,400, remaining the same. Conservation Commission, remaining the same at $3,205. Library is at $299,222. That's a 3.8% increase. Parks and Recreation, $457,947. It's a 4.55% increase. This is mostly caused by insurances and the day camp program expenses. Special detail is at $11,197. That's a 1.84% increase. Debt service is down significantly to $1,018,752. That's a 11.56% reduction. That's mostly due to the TransCanada debt finally getting paid off last year. Sewer user operating costs is $1,113,347. That's a 6.55% increase. And then transfer recycling center is at $439,863. That's a 2.31% increase. And fire-based EMS, and we have that at $687,475, which represents a 13.2% increase. That is the operating budget. Littleton.
The next is Article 7, to discontinue parking meter special revenue fund. Shall we rescind the provisions of RSA 31-95-C to discontinue the parking meter special revenue fund with said funds to be transferred to the town's general fund? No tax impact, recommended by the selectmen 3-0, recommended by the budget committee 5-0. Article 8, parking meter special revenue funds. To see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate the sum of $69,852 for the purpose of the parking meter station operations, with $69,852 to come from unassigned fund balance, which represents the dissolution of the parking meter station special revenue fund. This special warrant article per RSA 32:356 D and RSA 32:7B5, estimated tax impact of nothing per thousand. This is a contingent warrant article. If warrant article number 7 is not approved, if article 7 is approved, this warrant article will be void and there will be no tax impact from this warrant article. The special warrant article per RSA 32:356D and RSA 32:7B5, estimated tax impact of 0 per thousand, recommended by the selectmen 3-0 and recommended by the budget committee 5-0. Article number 9, establish parking meter revolving fund. To see if the town will vote to establish a revolving fund pursuant to RSA 31:95-H for the purpose of parking meter revolving fund. All revenues received for the parking meter revolving fund from fees, charges, or other income derived from the activities or services supported by the fund will be deposited into the fund, and the money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $69,852 and authorize the withdrawal of $69,852 from the general fund, unassigned balance, which represents the amount transferred from the parking meter special revenue fund if warrant article number 7 is approved, with $0 coming from taxation. The town treasurer shall have custody of all the monies in the revolving fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the governing body, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose for which the fund was created, which include the design, engineering, repairs, and improvement. 2, parking lots, parking spaces, sidewalks, streets, parking equipment, parking enforcement, parking meter supplies, and other parking lot needs. This authorization will stay in effect until rescinded. The budget for this in 2021 will become part of the town's operating budget and will have a default in a proposed amount. If warrant article number 7 is not approved, this warrant article is void. Estimated tax impact 0 per thousand, recommended by the selectmen 3-0 and recommended by the budget committee 5-0.
All right, can you guys hear me all right with my mask on?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. All All right, so Article 10 is the Opera House Special Revenue Fund operating budget. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $104,511 for the purpose of the Opera House operations, with $36,202 to come from the Opera House Special Revenue Fund, with a balance of $68,309 to be raised by taxation. This is a special warrant article per RSA 32:36D and RSA 32:75. Estimated tax impact of 9.1 cents per thousand, recommended by Selectmen 3-0, recommended by Budget Committee 5-0. See no questions or anything. Articles 11 through 13 deal with the Littleton Water and Light. Those of you who have read the papers understand that the DRA is requesting the town to have water and light items on our annual town meeting warrant, so these are the requests of the DRA. You will notice that they're not complete. We do not have figures or much information as of right now to be able to put on, but they are here for placeholders if nothing else. Water and light operating budget, Article 11. Shall the town raise and appropriate as an operating budget for the water and light department, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant, or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling, we don't know the amount yet. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be, an amount we don't know as of right now, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Water and Light Commissioners, or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. Article 12 would be to establish funds for the Littleton Water and Light. Again, another request of the Department of Revenue. We have no more wording or information at this time. Article 13, Littleton Water and Light Collective Bargaining Agreement. To see if the town will vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Littleton Water and Light Commissioners and the, whatever the name of their union is, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level. Has the fiscal year of 21 and 22 with the estimated increases that we do not have at this time. And further, to raise and appropriate X amount of dollars for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Board of Water and Light Commissioners recommends or does not recommend, we don't know at this time, nor has, and the Board of Selectmen have not voted on this either. If there's no questions, I'll hand it over to Roger.
Okay, Article 14 is to see if the town will vote to raise and authorize the selectmen to enter into a 3-year lease agreement, the amount of $291,000 for the purpose of leasing a new street sweeper, to raise the appropriate sum of $97,000 for the first year's payment, and $30,000 to come from the sewer funds. Estimated tax impact, 9 cents, recommended by the selectmen 2-1, recommended by the Budget Committee 4-1. And that requires a 3/5 vote.
One of the things we do want to stress too, that this is definitely a draft. So you'll notice as we go through that there are some changes as far as the verbiage on here as well. We just want to make that. And the other thing that we want to share with you is that the deliberative session is February 1st. And then voting at the town garage will be March 9th. That was something that we wanted to mention for the record as well. So Article number 15, 1-ton multi-purpose truck, 3-year, actually it wouldn't be a lease. So it'd be to see if the town will authorize the selectmen to purchase a 1-ton multi-purpose truck and to raise and appropriate the sum of $87,000, with $30,000 to come from FEMA funds. Estimated tax impact per thousand is is 7.6 cents. Recommended by the selectmen 3-0 and recommended by the budget committee 5-0. This does need a 3/5 vote. Article number 16, fire truck replacement. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease agreement in the amount of up to $600,000 for the purpose of leasing one fire truck to replace a fire engine which is 25 years old, and to raise and appropriate $120,000 for the first year's payment. All other principal payments each year are estimated to be the same. Estimated tax impact is 1.6 cents per thousand for 2021. Recommended by the selectmen 2-1 and recommended by the budget committee 5-0.
Parking improvements, Article number 17. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $150,000 for the purpose of design and construction of infrastructure for parking and associated repairs and improvements, and to authorize the town to utilize said funds, and to authorize town to acquire, lease, and/or swap land or rights-of-way easements and buildings in said area without further vote of the town for said purpose. Furthermore, to authorize the selectmen to apply for, accept, and expend grants, donations, or other funding sources that are available for such purpose. This is a non-lapsing appropriation until December 31st, 2023. Estimated tax impact of 20.1 cents per thousand, recommended by Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. I think we've been doing this for the past few years. We just have a lot of parking lots that have had several, years, if not decades, of neglect. I know one of the ones that we've been throwing around lately is the Remick Park parking lot. I think everybody knows how bad that one is right now, as well as behind the movie theater, as well as behind the laundromat on Pleasant Street. Again, we purchased the barn behind the movie theater last year. This year, we need to take that barn down, but unfortunately, it is so close to residences, it's going to take a professional. Again, there's going to be engineering that needs to be done for drainage, for proper lighting, even reconfiguration of stuff. So these, again, money to be spent improving some of the parking areas in town for everybody to use. And Article 18, be well.
So Article 18 is to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $15,000 for the purpose of repairs and equipment improvements to the Opera House building. The equipment, property, and systems. Estimated tax impact is 2 cents per thousand, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, and recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. And Article 19 is a transfer station repair and replace equipment. To see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $45,000 to close the burn pit and the site work around it. So the tax impact on that is 6 cents per thousand, and that's recommended by the Selectmen 3-0 and by the Budget Committee 5-0. And I'll turn it over to Karen.
Article 20, Collective Bargaining Agreement, AFSCME. To see if the town will vote to approve the cost item included in an MOA with the collective bargaining agreement for 1 year reached between the Board of Selectmen and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council number 93, Local 1348, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level. Year 2021, estimate $15,000. Year 2022, $15,450. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits over those of the appropriation at current staffing levels paid in the prior fiscal year. Pursuant to RSA 273-A:12-7, if approved, the terms of this collective bargaining agreement, including the pay plan, but excluding cost of living increases, will continue in force and effect until a new agreement is executed. Estimated tax impact is 2 cents per thousand, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. Article 21, Special Town Meeting. Shall the town, if warrant article number 20 is defeated, authorize the governing body to call one special meeting at its option to address warrant article number 24, cost items only. No tax impact, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0.
All right, this is another one of those articles where we've got some changes. Again, this is just a draft, so Article 22 to replace parking meter heads. Replace and upgrade parking meter heads. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum, it's actually $100,000 for the purpose of replacing and upgrading the parking meter heads, to accept debit and credit cards with said funds that come from the parking meter fund. It's the special revenue fund or the revolving special revenue fund if article, whatever that one passes, I think it's Article 8 maybe. All payments for this this lease purchase to be paid out of the meter fund over the next 4 years. No tax impact, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. If memory serves me right, these heads will replace the current existing ones. Again, I think one of the biggest things right now is people visiting our community and even residents don't always have change on them. So being able to accept debit cards and credit cards is a huge bonus, I think, with these, as well as, if I remember correctly, when someone leaves a stall, it'll also time out as opposed to, having 2 hours still on the parking meter. I don't know if Captain Tyler is interested in talking about it, or if not, I don't know if anybody has any questions either. But if not, we don't need to. All right then. All right, Article 23 is Roger.
This one has always had some changes in it also. So the unexpected Conservation Commission funds is for $750 in unexpended funds to be placed in the Conservation Commission funds with no tax impact, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, and recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0.
All right, Article 24, infrastructure improvements to roads, streets, sidewalks. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000 for the purpose of improvements, replacements, and repair of roads, streets, sewer, and sidewalks in town. Estimated tax impact of 40.1 cents per thousand, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0.
Do we want to have Doug speak to that? Maybe anything, Doug, you want to add to that?
Good evening, Doug Danko, Public Works Director. The roads that I've been looking at for this upcoming year would be some work on Industrial Park Drive, Reddington Street, and Richmond Street. And there's some other sidewalk areas as well, some on Union and maybe some other locations where we'll try to get some sidewalk work in there too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Article 25, add funds to the Public Works Capital Reserve Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be placed in the Public Works Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund established in 2020 under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for purchasing vehicles and equipment purchases for the Public Works Department or for grant match for the same purposes, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No tax impact, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. Article 26, add funds to the Fire Department Vehicle and Equipment. I'm assuming that's fund, it wasn't finished. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be placed in the Fire EMS Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund established in 2020 under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for purchasing vehicles or equipment for the fire department or EMS ambulance service vehicle or equipment, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No tax impact, recommended by the Selectmen 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0. Article 27, add fund to the Police Department Vehicle and Equipment Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be placed in the Police Department Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund established 2020 under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for purchasing vehicles or equipment with said funds to come from taxation. This will help offset the purchase of the next cruiser. Estimated tax impact 6.7 cents per thousand. Recommended by the Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-0.
Article 28, unexpended part-time police funds. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,000 to be added to the Police Department Expendable Trust Fund, previously established, with said funds to come from unassigned fund balance. The sum represents the unexpended balance from the Police Department part full-time salary lines in the 2020 budget. No tax impact. Recommended by Selectmen 3-0, recommended by Budget Committee 5-0. Article 29. Replacement of Littleton Town Pool and Pump House. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for design and construction of a new town pool, water activity area, and pool and pump house, and furthermore, authorize the selectmen to apply for, accept, and expend grants, donations, and other funding sources that are available for such purpose. Funds raised by this appropriation shall be expended only if matched by a minimum of $2 of grants, donations, and other funding sources for every dollar of this appropriation. This is a non-lapsing appropriation until December 31st, 2026. I think just a little bit about this one. I believe it very similar to what we did with the playground at Remick Park. I believe we raised $125,000 for that from taxation. However, that project was over $400,000 if I remember correctly. So again, this is another one where get some seed money, apply for some grants, and really maximize the use of the taxpayers' dollars. And then the Airport Commission, we don't have this ready yet, but essentially what they're looking for is to have a charrette similar to what the River District had several years, well, it was had twice, but the first one, several years ago. They've done an inventory of sidewalks and infrastructure and have made recommendations to the Public Works or the board or the town manager. But next, what they really want to look to do for their area of town is a charrette that really has someone from outside of the area but has experience in architecture and engineering and design, and really come up with some great ideas just like the River District charrettes have. So they're looking they'll be looking for funds for that purpose. And now I'll have Carrie go over Article 31.
This year, we chose to combine all of the charitable nonprofit contributions versus having them all as petition or warrant articles or separate warrant articles. So Article 31 is the nonprofit contributions. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $137,470 to support the following nonprofit organizations. Grafton County Senior Citizens Council, $35,000. Boys and Girls Club, $11,000. Birch House, $2,937. North Country Home Health and Hospice, $21,500. Northern Human Services, $9,696. Tri-County CAP, $11,850. Above the Notch Humane Society, $5,000. Amanuset Community Health Services, $15,000. Pathways Pregnancy Care Center, $3,200. Bridge House, $2,000, and then the Littleton Chamber of Commerce, $14,160. And these organizations too did not ask for any more money than they normally do. So with that being said, we told them that we would put it in without the petition warrant article. So the estimated tax impact is 1.84% per thousand, recommended by the selectmen 2-to-1, and recommended by the budget committee 5-0.
Does this mean on the ballot, when people vote, they'll have to vote for all of these and none of these, or will they be able to vote on individual ones?
That's a good question, Tom. So at the deliberative session, we will have, they can be pulled out. So if somebody were to say, I got questions on the Birch House, and then it would be pulled out, and it would be its own separate article, is that correct? Divisible motion.
Well, I know a lot of people will want to vote for, one of these, but maybe not another one.
Right.
I'm wondering what the ballot's going to show.
The ballot will show individually, won't it?
No,
Or we all
no, Andrew, you know that by things correctly. If this is a petition warrant article, that you're showing me today by the selectmen, okay? You guys,
They're not, it's just not a petition.
you three are petitioned it to us. We're gonna hear this at the deliberative session, okay? You're gonna bring it on the floor, not these individuals. When it makes it on the floor, it's one warrant article. The only way for us, it's our meeting, not yours, for us to extrapolate that is for a motion from the floor to separate each one out and add it as a separate warrant article. So to answer your question, if that's what we're gonna do, then we're defeating the purpose tonight by having this conversation and grouping them together. If the concern is that you guys think that we, from the floor, are literally gonna sit here and go, Tri-County CAP, make another 38, Chamber of Commerce, make it 39, we're not gonna do that. So either, if that is a concern, Mr. Hall, then advise these people tonight to change that and make it all separate warrant articles before we get to the deliberative session, because it's going to be an unorganized mess, us sitting around picking all of these different warrant articles and plucking them out and making a new warrant article. Understand me?
Good. Well, this is new ground. I mean, people have always had the choice in the past of voting article by article for each one of these businesses or groups. I think you're taking away the taxpayer's ability to pick and choose if you throw these all into one pot.
So what I'm thinking is, last year, I know that they were all separate. And then we ended up grouping 2 or 3 together, and then we were able to talk about each one, but vote as a whole to reduce the amount of time. You're the taxpayers. I mean, we'd be more than happy to.
Well, no, I know at deliberative session, sometimes the hour gets late, we say, well, let's just throw these all in, but on voting day, when you give the person a ballot, they can vote on Boys and Girls Club separately, they can vote on Tri-County CAP separately. Does it seem right to have them have to vote on everything? Maybe they don't want Amanuset Community. It's their money, they're spending.
Do we as a select board then want to list each one separately as warrant articles?
I think what you would do is, so right now, really just taking in the advisement, and then at the meeting before you'll have your one last meeting where you sign the warrant.
Okay.
You can direct us to create separate warrant articles for each, if that's what you want to do, and when the warrant's posted, you would.
Okay.
I know these are small figures compared to a $600,000 fire truck, but it's still the idea that he's taking away the taxpayer's ability to spend his money where he wants to spend it.
I agree, and it came up, even we as a select board talked about that, separating them out and deciding which ones we want to support, so, thank you, Tom.
Okay, Article 32 is to discontinue the Opera House management, and to see if the town will vote to eliminate the Opera House Management Commission. No tax impact, it's recommended by the Select Board 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee, no numbers.
To clarify that that's the Opera House Management Commission, not the Opera House Management. Okay, so the title of what you're saying.
Opera House Management Commission, not Opera House Management. Commission, yeah.
The title doesn't say that, so I'm just fixing my heart attack.
All right, we're almost there, guys. Article 33, opposition of a new landfill in the North Country. Petition warrant article. To see if the town of Littleton will vote to support the following resolution. Whereas the North Country has been host to one of the state's largest solid waste landfills for more than 3.5 decades, and whereas the North Country has become the repository for hundreds of thousands of tons of municipal solid waste generated in town and cities outside our region and state, and whereas there are other legal, affordable, and available options for waste disposal for our locally generated solid waste, and whereas the byproducts of that solid waste have for years adversely affected the water, air, and life quality for our neighbors and ourselves, and whereas there are other legal, affordable, and available options for waste disposal for our locally generated solid waste, and whereas the communities that currently send their solid waste to be landfilled in the North Country can take responsibility for the reduction and disposal of their own waste in their own regions, and whereas the people of the town of Littleton over these past decades have made substantial investments in our community's health and sustainability, including recognizing and supporting the economic importance of the Ammonoosuc River, which runs right through our center. Therefore, the town of Littleton resolves that the new landfill to be located in neighboring Dalton is not compatible with our vision for the protection of the Ammonoosuc River and its watershed, our shared groundwater, our shared roadways, our regional environment, or the tourism businesses we depend on for our economic future. We, the voters of the town of Littleton, hereby resolve to oppose New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services approval of any application for another commercial landfill to be built in the North Country.
May I speak?
Yeah, and I know Mrs. Bella was interested in speaking.
Good evening all. My name is Pat Kellogg, and I'm a longtime resident of the beautiful town of Littleton. I present to each of you a copy of the citizens petition signed by 140 Littleton citizens, which states, "We, the undersigned residents of the town of Littleton, support the passage of a petition 2021 warrant article number now 33, which, if passed, will declare Littleton's opposition to the siting of any new commercial solid waste landfills in the North Country. With our signatures below, we urge the Littleton Select Board to vote their support of this important warrant article. To clarify that this proposed commercial landfill will affect Littleton, I refer you to the recent letter written by Tom Ault, Chairman of the Littleton Conservation Commission, to the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services concerning the wetlands permit by Casella Waste Systems. And I'm going to give each of you a copy of this letter. Let me read part of this letter that refers to Littleton. Although the actual footprint for the landfill would lie in Dalton, the land parcel involved extends into several adjacent towns, including Littleton. Actually, the entire Alder Brook drainage flows into Littleton, tax map 36, lot 17, from Dalton, and merges with the Hatch Brook drainage, tax map 36, lot 18, crosses the Bethlehem town line, flows under New Hampshire Route 116, and enters the Ammonoosuc River. Map and lot numbers, town line boundaries. We realize that none of this limits or affects the natural boundaries of wetlands, of surface and subsurface flow. The wetland impact numbers for this proposed project are seriously large. 16 plus acres, 150 feet perennial stream, 1,350 feet intermittent stream, 5 vernal pools. In Littleton, the Littleton Conservation Commission has dealt with many wetland permits, and the fact remains that even with such tools as compensatory mitigation, permanently impacted wetlands are destroyed wetlands, and when a project such as a landfill is involved, the destruction can travel far outside the landfill's footprint. I am not normally an activist. I cringe at the idea of standing here in public and making my presence known. I am also not anti-development. We here in Littleton benefit greatly from the Littleton Industrial Park, started by a few determined citizens who know that clean, light industry would provide good local jobs, increased property taxes, and great opportunities for this town. And it has. But there is a huge difference here, and the difference is clean. A nearby landfill just upstream from our town is not clean industry and will not be good for our community. At some point, it will be opposite. At some time in the future, it will be clear that by standing by and simply allowing this kind of development is a really big mistake. Littleton Board of Selectmen, take a stand for the citizens of the town of Littleton and our future, and support this petition 2021 warrant article. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Article 34, Fair, Nonpartisan Redistricting Resolution. Petition warrant article, New Hampshire Resolution for Fair, Nonpartisan Redistricting. By petition of 24 or more eligible voters, the town of Littleton, to see if the town will vote to urge that the New Hampshire General Court, which is obligated to redraw the maps of political districts within the state following the federal census, will ensure fair and effective representation of New Hampshire voters without gerrymandering. Additionally, these voters asked the town of Littleton to urge the New Hampshire General Court to carry out the redistricting in a fair and transparent way through public meetings, not to favor a particular political party, to include communities of interest, and to minimize multi-seat districts. Furthermore, as the New Hampshire State Constitution, Part 2, Article 11, allows towns of sufficient population to have their own state representatives, not shared with other towns, for the town of Littleton to petition the New Hampshire General Court for its own exclusive seat in the New Hampshire House of Representatives, if it does not already have it, ensuring that state representatives properly represent the town's interests. The record of the vote approving this article shall be transmitted by written notice from town officials to Littleton state legislatures, informing them of the demands from their constituents within 30 days of the vote. I don't know if anybody's here to speak on that one. Article number 35, Eaton parcel established a town forest, Eaton parcel. Petition warrant article, to see if the town of Littleton will vote to establish as town forest under RSA 31:110 the following tract of parcel of land known as the Eaton parcel, Littleton tax map 68, lot 28, to authorize the Littleton Conservation Commission to manage the town forest under the provision of RSA 31:112(2), and to authorize the placement of any proceeds that may accrue from this forest management in a separate forest maintenance fund, but shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year as provided by RSA 31:113. Would anybody like to speak to
Sure,
that?
actually, I'm sorry, if I go back to Pat's warrant article, I didn't see a slide up there. Do you have a recommendation by the selectmen?
No, we don't do recommendations on non-monetary petition warrant articles.
Gotcha.
Good question.
If I may, I just wanted to drop off these petitions that are kind of just businesses that wanted to kind of support what Pat's doing. They're just signed by the business community. It's 42 more signatures of business owners.
Sure, if you want to.
It's not binding, it's just,
Mhm.
again, a general business petition to urge the board to oppose the landfill development project because of the impact on the Kalamazoo River.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah,
I'll leave it with
that's fine.
Thank you.
Andrew, is there anything else from your end? I think other questions from the group?
Andrew, do you want to do this housekeeping stuff later, or do you want to do this now?
Housekeeping?
Yeah. Do it now, or do it later after we're done?
Yeah, I
You
think.
want to do it now?
Art, can you come to this mic here?
Okay, so real quick, we have a printout of the budget. We're at a budget hearing, it's the first time I've ever been, and I haven't seen a budget. So this is the budget hearing, and we're supposed to see the budget, you're not supposed to just tell us we're supposed to see it. So in fairness, we should have that printed and at least on the website for tomorrow or the next day, so we can see what we're preparing for the deliberative session. It's a little tough, I mean, you did a great job presenting, I'm not being rude to you, you did a great job, but just can't follow all of that money. Next one is the 1-ton truck lease. You call it a lease, you called it a buy, it's printed as a lease, but it's a buy. It's a $261,000 purchase, one-time purchase in this year's budget, right?
That's an error.
About 261?
Yeah, that was an error.
So is it a lease or is it a buy? It's a buy.
So 1 ton is a purchase.
So it's a one-time purchase of $261,000, and do we
No,
know?
not of 87.
87, so strike the 261, it's just going to be an $87,000 one-time.
Yes.
One time, okay, beautiful, let's do that one. Next one is, the contract. So the way I read this warrant article, it says that we're raising and appropriating about $45,000. We raised $15,000 in 2021, 2022 we raised $15,400, and then we raised an additional $15,000
So these
for a
are.
one-year lease, or a one-year agreement.
Yeah, so we are waiting to get the final numbers.
Okay, so this is still
We have a
negotiated.
placeholder, right.
Fair enough.
And if you. so-
I'm good with that, I know that works, I'm good with that. That was my only question. Thanks.
No more public comments, I guess we